Hello and welcome to Sex, Love, and the Self. I'm Jaclyn Lanae, writer, author, and coach. Here on the podcast, we talk about relationships, sexuality, emotional patterns, power dynamics, and what it actually takes to stay connected to yourself while loving other people. My work is about helping women stop abandoning themselves in the name of love, approval, or being a good person, and start living from their own center instead. You can find more of my work at authorjaclynlanae.com. And join us on Substack. As a paid subscriber, you'll get access to the Unruly Women's Circle, the bad influence you've been looking for. Every week, I'll deliver a journal prompt to your inbox, and you'll also be invited to our monthly discussion circles, where we talk about the real-life, day-to-day changes we can make to embody our power and live with more joy. Please be aware that today's podcast includes sensitive material, including sexual references and explicit language that may bother some listeners. Enjoy. My name is Jaclyn Lanae, and I have with me today an incredible human. Miss?
Hello, I'm Wren Morrow. I am an outdoor boudoir and erotic adventure photographer. And I guide individuals and couples through deeply embodied sensual experiences, primarily in wild places.
Oh, that is so magical. I am so excited today. And we're going to be really digging into the art of embodiment and kind of, what that looks like and what it means. But I want to begin by digging into the whole erotica part of this. Can you elaborate a little bit on what a session with you is like for a couple, or what kind of feedback maybe you've gotten from people that have been in that experience?
Yeah, I think when I do individuals and when I do couples, they're very different experiences. Because with an individual, I'm doing a lot of engagement and sort of like helping the like blossoming process.
Yeah.
Where with couples, we do a lot of the work on the front end. I spend a lot of time kind of understanding their story, understanding just like the things that have brought them together and how they move through spaces in a more organic way. And then I'll essentially make like a small storyboard for them. So we kind of like break it into like 3 or 5 acts of what we're trying to capture, because typically there's like a combination of like, oh, we want some of these that are more PG and some that are like more risque and some of them that are like solely for us.
Yes.
And if you're gonna spend thousands of dollars on a photo shoot and like you can't post a single one online, like, okay, that's that's a kind of a bummer. And so each act will be broken into kind of like thematic elements, how we lead into it and how we exit out of it. And some of the I'll like do like some mood boarding and like what the feeling of each act will look like, so that they're almost like ready to like get in character, but these characters are based on their real life experience. Like, for example, I photographed this couple who so much of their love story had been like working at a winery together. She was a winemaker. Like they loved like over the top indulgent foods and dinners. And so, one of the acts was dinner is served. And I like set up this elaborate table that had breads and cheeses and wines, and the themes of it were, we're eating dinner, but we're feeding each other. We're pulling at each other. Like clothes are kind of like starting to like be tugged at. We'll like transition into actually like kind of like making out on top of the table. We're kind of like pushing things out of the way. And at the, by the time that like she's like halfway out of her dress, then we're shifting to the next scene, which is let the bodies hit the floor.
I love that.
Took place in front of a fireplace, like on the floor. And so it gave them enough structure to know like where we're going, or like how we enter and how we exit and what it's going to feel like within. And then from that place, I just got to let them interact with each other. and let them slip into the moment, slip into these characters. And then I kind of could back away further and further and just be capturing them moving through the space authentically.
Oh, how beautiful. I love this so much. So I mean, there's so much in all of this, of course. And I think there's such a shift. Perhaps I'm, naively hoping that this is the case, but towards a more accepting and even celebratory attitude about women's pleasure than we have seen, up to this point in obviously recent history. Ancient history is a whole other beautiful, messy thing. But I wonder if you have any, like, how has your perspective been opened or altered or built through the experiences that you've had? Like, what is your perspective on the value of women's pleasure and perhaps them taking pleasure in their beauty and their aesthetic and their sensuality?
I think that pleasure is primarily able to be accessed in an embodied state.
Yes.
There are like things that we can like we're like almost like surface level, like feeling it or whatever. But I think that the deeper you can like sit into your like meat space suit and really connect with your sense of touch, your sense of smell, your sense of sound, your like all of these things, you realize there is such richness that we're like able to interface with and enjoy. I think that pleasure has been postured as a reward, a like carrot on the end of a stick, like you got to like work really hard and then you're allowed to enjoy yourself.
Yeah, for sure.
And there has been, and I still think is, a lot of guilt around experiencing pleasure.
Yeah.
And so I think my work has been like this invitation to kind of like flip that on its head and not view pleasure as something to be earned, but as something to be accessed. That it's actually accessible to you all the time. From a deeply embodied state. And I think that it can be difficult when we've been in such go mode that if we like slip into a deeply embodied state, we're kind of like, like, wait, this doesn't feel good. Actually, like there's like a jackhammer going on outside. There's like, it smells weird in here. Like, I don't, my skin is itchy, it's made of plastic. Like there's a lot that actually doesn't feel very good if you slow down enough to feel it. And so I think this sort of like separating pleasure from an everyday like moving through the world existence is kind of making us blind, like sense blind to how like problematic a lot of our reality is. And so when you kind of like slow down and find spaces and places that can help you genuinely access embodiment because of the fact that there isn't resistance to how it feels, because it just feels nice. It just actually feels good to be in a soft place or like outside and like with the sun and this wind. These things allow you to soften organically and then use that intel to kind of reshape your world and realize like how much power you have over your world to make it a sensory delight.
Yeah.
No.
No, I love it. Well, and I kind of want to double down on the whole idea of accessing pleasure. Not because I want to give us more to do.
I'm here for it.
Yes, exactly. We are utterly drowning in our literal and metaphoric to-do lists. And also, I think that, kind of tangent to this idea that pleasure has been something that we have been made guilty. It feels like a guilty pleasure. If we get pleasure, there's like a guilt associated with it. And I love the idea of, acknowledging that it is constantly accessible to us and that there has to be a sense of like pulling ourselves into our body for that. I also just really want to give all of us everywhere, and particularly women, permission, not that they need it from me, but like to take it from themselves, to cultivate pleasure without guilt. You know what I mean? And I think that there's such a commoditization, I don't even know if that's the right way to say that, of that idea, in the beauty industry, in spa treatments, and in, the facial you're supposed to buy and do at home and all of that, that kind of adds guilt to the idea that we should be allowed to do those things because feeling beautiful gives us pleasure. And we're both told that it shouldn't and that we should, which I think is insane. So I really love the idea that we can like take some ownership back and say, I deserve to feel like I'm nurturing myself, whether or not that results in brighter skin or whiter teeth or pretty painted nails or whatever. I really feel like there needs to be, well, I don't want to say there needs to be. I want us all to be able to step into a space where feeling physically beautiful is a pleasure that we give to ourselves and that we do not have to feel any shame around. Is that resonate at all?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that like the, bubble bath, self-care, capitalized or wait, what was the word you used?
Well, I don't know if I said it correctly.
The commoditization of self-care.
Yes.
And it being just another thing that you buy, really is stripping us from this idea that I'm trying to talk about of this like pleasure is really accessible right now. Like you actually already have it. It just you're just moving too fast to feel it.
Yeah,
and
I agree.
There is so much in your life that you do not need to buy, that you do not need to you like participate in capitalism to have access to it. And so like when it comes, I think that like part of that even guilt is like, oh, now I'm participating in this industry. And it's like, okay, well, I want you to not feel guilt to take time for yourself. Like that's really what it is. And the bubble baths and the getting your nails done, like those are symbols of just taking time for yourself, investing in yourself. But I just want there to be the realization that that can happen at any budget. That can happen like just taking a moment to like go stand outside like for 5 minutes and just really do nothing for 5 minutes except for feel the sun on your skin.
Yes, exactly.
That is pleasure.
Yes.
And so like not feeling guilty about that. And if you can I took a bath last night. Like I love a bath. So it can be that too, but I think realizing that it's more about slowing down and giving yourself time, and then everything else is just like added on top of that.
Yeah, I agree completely. Well, and I think too, a big part of that is intention, like if you're walking down the aisle in the grocery store and you're feeling like you should buy, the avocado to do the mask that you're going to do, you feel like you should do when you get home so that you have the skin that you feel like you should have when you show up for your work meeting or whatever the hell it is. I don't think that is the same alignment of embodiment with the divine that we're celebrating when we slow down and take pleasure. The divine feminine that's inherent in pleasure, she is expressed through pleasure, is a completely different thing than if you're walking down the aisle of the grocery store and you think, what I would love is to put myself in a bathtub and smear avocado all over my face tonight. And I think that's completely different. The action points are the same. Wholly. But I think that's where the whole idea of embodiment that you're talking about comes into play. Like, is this for me? Is this for me to feel in my body? Is this for me to feel nurtured, loved, adored, celebrated, brightened, whatever, adjective you want to put in there? Or is this for me to be acceptable, palatable, have a shield up when I walk into the world? And I think that that's what a lot of that, because it can be a big wide gray line for women. And I think that honing in on the intention and the where your self lands in that can help to delineate, is this, for quote the male gaze that is, shamed in so many ways, or is this actually for me? Is this something
Totally.
yeah.
Totally, 1,000,000%. Yeah, that intention, the why you're doing it, it makes all the difference. Like,
Yes,
like
yes.
1,000,000%. That's a whole episode right there. The end.
Yeah.
Like, no further questions. Why are you doing the thing that you're doing?
Yes.
And like, yeah, I mean, I know so many people that are able to like, I don't know so many people. I have a handful of friends that really will just do what they want to do because they want to do it. And their life just looks like it. You get in the sphere of someone who's moving through the world how they want to because they want to, and they're not bogged down by shoulds and all these things. It is such a powerful frequency. It just gives you permission to like ask yourself, what do I want? And like answer that question and not feel guilt about it, because there is so much messaging on what you should want, and like we're systematically removed from our desire and from our internal compass, so we're all fucking so confused with what it is that I even want. And well, let me get on Instagram because I don't even know what I want, and I'll just look at what everybody else wants, or what they think that they want, or what is selling, or what is getting the most response. And now I certainly have no clue what I want. Wow, help.
Absolutely. Well, and of course there's all the science behind just the reality of what the ridiculous dopamine cycle that we go through when we scroll, and the fact that is almost an artificial version of pleasure. You know what I mean? Like there's an element of pleasure in that moment, and there's little parts that you could pull, like I'm giving 10 minutes to myself to look at cute cat videos on Instagram, whatever it is. And also the deep down reality, like, is that nurturing you in a real way? Is that truly the way that you want to be investing in yourself and investing in your pleasure? Or would you perhaps prefer, given the space and time, to be fully seated in your body, to please yourself in a completely different way? And I think that that's another element of all of it, is that there's this kind of superficial level that we are sort of allowed and actually even supposed to, in terms of capitalism, participate in. But not the deep one, not the one that connects you to your divinity, not the one that empowers.
Don't go crazy, girl. How you gonna be a good consumer if you out here connected to your own divinity and feeling the source of completion, wholeness, like divine juiciness? Like what will we possibly sell you?
Yes, exactly. And the other thing that I think that I wanted to talk to you about, because I think it's really hard. There's such a nuanced conversation happening, and so many very passionate perspectives, which I understand, about feminists specifically. But let's just, expand that umbrella to include any woman who is advocating for women to be seen, heard, respected, have full rights, all that stuff. At what point is our dressing ourselves up in some way, or doing these little beauty treatments or whatever it is that we do, there's just a segment of those groups that writes all of that off, anything that is supposed to be beauty oriented, to placating to the male gaze, and or let's say capitalism in this case. And I personally am very resistant to that. I am very attached to the idea of adorning ourselves in any way that we see fit, as an expression of the beautiful safe space created when we get to be and do whatever and whoever the fuck we want. Like, I feel like any step toward saying, putting limits on that, like, And that's the other thing is, where would that line be drawn? Like, you're allowed to wear mascara, but not eyeshadow or something, because eyeshadow would be for men, but mascara is, you know what I mean? It's just, I'm confused.
Mm-hmm.
Do I get to wear my
Mm-hmm.
hair down because that's sensual, or do I have to wear it up because that's, less tantalizing or something? How would you define that?
Yeah, where is the line drawn?
Yeah.
Or are we supposed to be all natural and never trim your toenails and never brush your teeth and never
Cut your
like
hair.
wear actual clothes, don't brush your
Yes.
hair, like
Yes.
don't clean out an eye booger, like that is actually like, are you just trying to be for the male gaze, taking that eye booger out of there? Be, if God wanted you like an eye booger free, he wouldn't have made you like that. Like, it's like, this is a crazy line, like, to draw.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah.
Like, anyone who's like, don't, makeup is only for men. I'm like, do you trim your toenails? Like, literally, do you? Maybe you don't. I don't know. But like, at what point does self-care and like just and like there is like something, something that I wrestle with sometimes too, like body hair. Wow,
Yeah.
what a crazy, what, like, I don't know if we're ready to go here, but like,
Oh, I'm always ready, baby.
I fluctuate between like where, and that is the thing, is like, I do what I want with it. Sometimes I'm getting waxed. I got like a little landing strip. Cute. Okay, I love that for me. Okay, sometimes it is full bush and good luck, and like bush to the butthole. Like, we're talking about like, you're not finding nothing. Like, and I'm still having sex both ways. Like, I'm not scared to show up how I want to in the space and like get into it or get out. Can you even find it in there? I don't even know.
Perhaps it's like a safety thing, like, you cannot take on this challenge. You do not deserve to enter the sacred garden behind that wall. Like,
totally. But also I'm like mostly straight, I guess, but I certainly like women as well. I think I'm like, I prefer male for like full partnership, but I do like playing with women.
Yeah.
And I will say, like, for oral sex, it is a nicer time for me when it is cleared out of the way. And I was like, damn, I do be out here being like, you can't tell me how to live. And then I'm also like, damn, girl, I actually cannot find that clit. Like, I can't even find it. And I know what we're working with. So these poor men, I've been out here, like, I didn't start sleeping with women until I was in my like mid to late 20s. So it's like, I was out here for so long, like, I can't believe you can't figure it out. And I was like, actually, it's a crazy landscape down here. I don't know what I'm working with. Where are we? I'm trying to orient. I need a compass. So I feel like they're like, I don't know. I can see the no person, the man you're sleeping with, the woman you're sleeping with, the society as a whole, the feminist with a crazy blog, the Instagram post, like, nobody should tell you or has the right to tell you how you should be presenting, what you should be spending your energy doing. Like, it's my energy. I have my friend Alejandra, and she is probably my best friend in the whole world and is the most fabulous creature I have ever seen walking around. And she every week will glue on these fake eyelashes that over time are like destroying her natural lashes, but it's worth it for her because she gets to leave them on all week. And she's like, I don't have to like worry about putting on makeup. It's like one day of effort. And rather than like every single day putting on makeup, because I like how I look with the little like winged and she does look so cute with it. And I see that and I'm just like, that is her choice to spend her energy that way. When we lived together, I was on it too. And I was putting on the fake eyelashes and I'm like, these are so cute. This is so fun. And it is a lot of work. And I think the thing is like, people like things that took effort tend to, not always, but tend to look Like they took effort.
Yeah.
And they're more beautiful because of it.
Yeah.
It takes effort to trim your toenails, to put on makeup, to do your hair, to like whatever. And then I think some people are just like, well, that's not fair that you get to look like that and I don't. And I'm like, if you wanted to clock the hours, you could too. Same for like being super in shape. Like I dated this guy who was so buff. He worked out 9 times a week, was literally like running, doing all this stuff. He added up the amount of time he was in the gym. He was in the gym 40 hours a week.
Oh my God.
40, and he looks amazing.
Yes,
like I was like,
you
damn
deserve it,
sir.
baby.
But am I going to do that?
Yeah.
No, I'm not.
Yeah.
I can't. I could, but I don't want to.
Yeah.
And it's like these people, I feel like people just want to be mad at the results people get from putting in effort, and then want to like put a blanket statement about like nobody should be putting forth all the effort into that because it's making some of us look not as good as the others. It's like, I don't know. Like, find your tribe. There's a bunch of long toenail, no makeup having people. I'm sure you'd be a big hit. And that.
Yes, I know.
Okay, I started throwing shade. We got to reel me in.
Well, the thing is, I actually really love this for so many reasons. And one of them is, I think that you make a good point. I think it's easy to, even if it isn't an envy thing about the fact that other women are, naturally more beautiful or shouldn't be allowed to augment their beauty with whatever, whether it be makeup or cosmetic surgery or anything along those lines. But I think the idea of shaming any woman, anybody, for adorning or decorating or caring for or working on their body the way that they do is exactly the antithesis of what you were talking about before, which is that sense of freedom. When you step into the energetic space of someone who is allowing themselves, giving themselves permission to be exactly the way that they want to be, that there's a power in that energy. And we all should, I'm even going to go that far, I hate that word, but we all should have that power, regardless of how it manifests in our lives, whether that means eyelashes or not. Anytime that we start putting limits on other people and saying you're doing this for the wrong reasons, first of all, you can never know that, and secondly, you are energetically blocking down that space that she is allowed to inhabit, whoever it is. The other thing that I have to say is that your discussion about the hair hits so close to home. So I want to talk about this a little bit. It's my work is primarily in the context of relationships. I do a lot of coaching and particularly for the women in relationships. And there's a kind of constant, like, if your partner asks you to shave or wax or something like that, hard stop. He's out. He doesn't deserve your attention, your time. Nobody should ever tell you how to, manage your body. I agree with that last phrase. No one should tell you how to manage your body. But, and also, as you were talking about, in the context of a relationship, there are always gives and takes, concessions that are
put in a request for sure.
Right? Well, I appreciate when my partner is excited about giving some attention to that area. And so in our case, he does the work then, it's just, we've just incorporated that as kind of our little like foreplay into the experience that we're about to have. And I have levied several requests as his version so that, I can appreciate the experience that I'm about to give him in the satisfying possible way. And we're happy to do that for each other because it's a mutually respected thing. And because outside of the sexual context of our relationship, we genuinely have mutual respect for each other. This is not a person who is telling me what to do and how to be in my life all the time in every context. And I would never do that to him. I think that there are those boundaries that need to be drawn as well, because particularly in the social media world where it's, you put this label on and instantly that person or group or action or activity or whatever is bad or wrong or not helping the cause or whatever you want to say. There needs to be some nuance. We have to leave space for that in order to celebrate and honor the freedom that we're all actually after, I think. And what the movement the feminist movement, the matriarchal movement, the just general shift away from oppressive capitalistic structures, it requires all of us to feel so wholly free that we can express ourselves exactly the way that we want to in order to be able to work together in a real way, rather than, you know, mold into some version that just a different political structure or religious group or societal organization is going to say we should be.
Totally. 1,000,000%. Okay, wait a minute. Just, I want to circle back. Did you say he does the work? Does he shave you?
Yeah.
Girl, that happened to me one time and I loved it. Oh my God.
Yes.
He did it. We drew a bath. I was in the bath and like, which was kind of weird because then all the hair was like floating alongside me, but whatever. It was all good. This was the time I had really let the bush get out of hand. And and he was like, what do you say about if I draw you a little bath and you just like, and it was so cute. It was like, you know, the intent. He's like focusing in, like so cute. And I loved it so much. I was like, wow, because waxing, it was just like the antithesis of the waxing process. You know, the waxing process is so clinical. You go in, it's like a stranger, it's fluorescent lighting. You lay down on the fucking table with the paper down, like it's like straight up like where it's a gynecologist's office.
I was just gonna say a step from the gynecologist's office.
And then it's like, okay, the warm wax goes on, cute, okay, lovely. And it's like, oh my God, it's so much pain. And then versus this time, it was like candles and good smells. And I'm in a bathtub. This person who loves me is like dutifully cleaning the landscape in order to find, you know, the buried treasures. And I was like, okay, this I could get into it. This should be like a regular occurrence. And I think that is like, when we're talking about like everybody in radical freedom, I think it just comes from being able to like honestly express your hopes and desires and have them not met as if there's some manner of attack or demand, but just like for him to just legitimately, and it sounds like your partner as well, like, hi, I really prefer, you know, a clean landscape. And that not to be like, ew, your bush is so disgusting and smells foul and there's no way in the 7 kingdoms I'd give near it. You know, it's like, don't take it like that. It's just like literally this man's personal preference. And like I said, the moment I went down on a girl with a bush, I was like, I get it. Actually, I also be preferring a slip and slide. And so and like so like it's for him to be able to express that honestly, and then me to be able to express honestly, well, I really am not enjoying like honestly, like at the time, it's funny like how my life will determine if I can handle being waxed or not, because it's such a traumatizing time that like if my life is, if I have a lot of spaciousness in my nervous system, I can take it. But I was like maxed out, and I was like, the thought of having my hairs ripped out, I'm like, I don't have it in me, you know? And so then because of that, we were able to, he was like, well, what if I shaved you? And it was like, oh my goodness. And had the most magical time, which sounds like you're getting on a regular basis. I love that for you.
Thank you.
Really encourage all the ladies, and like, and also like for the men, you know, it's like, to understand that it is work, it is like effort, and like care for a thing is more than just like, you know, like more than just going down on somebody. Like, are you really gonna like care for me? Like, can you care for me like so tenderly that you could take like a blade to my most sensitive parts and like do that with like devotion to me? Like the way it communicated pure devotion was unlike, I think, anything that any man has ever done for me. Like, it truly was like, oh my goodness, you are like here for this. And like, to, you know, because it's like, truly, like, it is so hairy down there. Like, it is crazy. To have somebody be like, I'm going to like stare into your third eye and shave the hair of your butthole. It's like, it was so masculine, it's like, I'm not scared of the hair at all, but I would like it out the way, so it wasn't this like repulsion to it. It was just like, all right, here we go, time of business. And like, I don't know, I just loved it. I really,
oh, dude. Well, one of the other parts, I love that you touched on the trust thing, or the like intimacy of it, because one of the other parts is that in the engagement that happens there is this like intense respect and honoring of the sensitivity that I have there, as
totally.
as my body. But also there, it's no repulsion of any kind. And in the meantime, I lay back, all of my flaws shown. We have developed a procedure that exists outside of the bathtub, so that it's a little less with the floaty hair things. So
yes, I would, it was both nice and horrifying.
yeah. But yeah, I literally am laid on my back, wholly exposed, flaws, all of the, shit that everybody told me all of my young life that I should be embarrassed about or try to fix or change or hide or whatever, whatever. And he is just as delicately as possible honoring that and creating excitement about what's about to happen in that space. And I am doing nothing but pleasure, appreciating the pleasure. Yes, I am just receiving. I am laid back and indulging and swimming in gifted pleasure that I don't have to work for in any way, that I haven't been shamed for, that I hadn't had to do. And it's just the precursor, because I know what's coming and it's going to be good. Yeah. And I feel like there's such an empowerment there that we can take if we will allow ourselves to, rather than, shut down or criticize or shame or. Yeah, I just think it's something that I hope for all of us to be able to, in a version of that in all, contexts of our lives.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's just such like a beautiful metaphor of the way that a man could express that he doesn't love the bush. and so many women on the internet are like, how dare he be able to tell anyone what's best, what I should or shouldn't have, and it's like this thing that could be so confrontational could create a wall, instead created like a bridge to this really beautiful, special, intimate space that so many women I know are not getting access to, and like and a deepening of intimacy that is so like profound. Really 12 out of 10 would recommend. Would encourage just having like more conversations like that, and finding more places besides just like such like a hot topic of the bush, but like in general. I am sure that there are so many spaces where both people just needed to like express their authenticity and then creatively come up with a solution that brings intimacy rather than separation. And rather than defending my right to whatever or like shaming some man for having any sort, how dare you have any opinion on my body, bro. If he is munching down, he's allowed to have an opinion. Like that is like, it's not like from a distance observing it. He's front and center dealing with that. He actually has more up close and personal data of what it's like to deal with your bush than you do. Like literally, I've never been able to smell it. I don't have that kind of flexibility. I have no idea. I have literally no idea. That not only he's got the data, and so it's like the same way that he does not know what his balls smell like, and like taking a little shower beforehand is actually preferable.
Really nice. I appreciate and it's actually go to that effort, dude. Yeah. Because thing. I have observations about his body. And obviously, if he were not an intimate romantic partner, I would perhaps not voice those observations because in that case, it isn't any of my business. But as you're pointing out, it absolutely is my business because we share a bed, we share our bodies, we share fluids. Like, if I feel like that's not something that I want to have put inside of me until it's been properly cleaned, whether it be that particular part or any other, then I get to have that. And I think I am make that observation, like, perhaps there could be a fun little dance in the shower before we do go on to the rest of the party, or whatever.
Yeah. Man, I have such a sensitive pH. Like, I cannot have men going down on me without like brushing their teeth directly beforehand.
Yeah.
I cannot. I have gotten BV so many times in my life, and I'm like, so cute. Okay, actually, that like first thing in the morning, I'm like, no, no. I understand, like, so cute, like you're trying to, no, absolutely not. Also, my own morning, like my own, wake up in the morning, if I go down on him, and then he tries to put it in me, BV. Right away, straight to jail. So, it's like it's like annoying because it's not even like I'm not necessarily even being like, oh, I don't like the way your mouth smells. It's like literally I'm a delicate little flower, and none of us can be going down there unwashed. Because I'm going to smell like a fucking dead fish market for a week and a half if you do that. And like, because I'm too, there was a long time where I would be like too shy to say like, oh, I'm sorry, can we like brush our teeth first? So I was like, I don't want to be annoying. Like, and then I'm over here for a week having to have a fucking 4-foot radius of smell around me, I'm sure. And it's like, okay, actually these are the things like we have to have the freedom to express and like talk about and have these boundaries and realize like the people that care for us, especially if we're like saying them in kindness and we're not like, oh, get your fucking out of here. But just like, hey, like let's real quick just make sure everything's squeaky clean.
Yeah.
So there's shit is like squeaky clean. Everybody, we're trying to keep everything squeaky clean around here.
Yes, exactly.
Wow.
Well, and I think that sense of, this is something that I've had to work on really hard, and that is to choose to take input like that without immediately taking it as a personal attack in some way or being defensive in some way. And that is, I think, I was kind of, on the microcosmic level, embodying that sort of fierce feminist, immediately like, you don't get to tell me, whatever. And I am that. I loathe being told what to do with myself, much less anything else. And also, in order to create a compassionate relationship, and in order to create a successful relationship, in order to create a safe shared space, I have to give the space for those conversations to happen, and not immediately my way or the highway, essentially, is what I was saying all those years, reaction, and rather like, okay, so how do we get on the same team here and address the real issue? And I think that's extrapolating out to sort of the bigger community element of this. This idea of being able to embody our feminism, our sensuality, our beauty, our divinity, or whatever. We have to be able to come together and say, like, you may do it completely differently than I do, and I may even radically disagree with the way that you do it, but you are not the problem. The problem is the fact that we have been shamed into feeling like we're not allowed, or that we are expected to. So let's take that shit down and then address the real problem here, which is being oppressed, which is having our rights stripped away from us, which is, being essentially sold into slavery of some kind, one way or the other. The list obviously is miles long, but I think it's hard to get on the same page sometimes. I think it's sometimes easier to be defensive and fight or shame each other rather than maintain openness and allow it to maybe hurt a little bit or to be a little offensive or whatever.
Yeah. And like, so I just have so many thoughts of like the ways I have not been able to hold that space to get on the same page in intimate context. I think that I know I have spent a significant amount of my time alone these days. Like over the past, I think I haven't had a significant partner for more than like a month in years now. And so I spend so much time alone. And so then I live by myself, and so then you get into an intimate context, and it is a lot of suddenly realizing like, your shit does stink. Like there are actual, like the way that you move through the world impacts people in negative ways as well. And it can be really difficult to take in that data and not just like shock, like how fucking dare you, and I think that our whole society is moving more and more into these like, okay, well, I'll just isolate further. I'll isolate further. I'm only going to be around the people that identify exactly as I do, who move through the world exactly as I do. And if there's any difference in any sort of way, they're out. Cut them out. And like we're doing it we started doing this with our families back when Trump got elected, and it's like, these are your motherfucking family. Like, what do you mean? And it's like, well, if we can't, and it's like, bro, like we are all humans. We have to share this rock together. Like we really do. And you don't have to agree with someone 1,000,000% to be able to find commonalities. And the extremism of everyone like being the same this is mind-boggling to me. And then we are like, well, why is there a loneliness epidemic? And it's like, well, because you only hang out with yourself or people who remind you of yourself.
Because we're not allowed to be who we really are in front of each other. That's why we're fucking lonely. Because even when we are together, it's not who we really are. It's some amalgamation of who we think we're supposed to be in front of this particular group of people in order to be palatable enough to be accepted by them. Like, what? Of course.
Because we'll be cut off.
Exactly. Yes.
Oh my
I think
gosh.
the crux of the whole thing. And I have to say, I think particularly for myself, for a very long time, I was totally a run girl. Like as soon as there was conflict of any kind on the horizon, it was just like, all right, well, clearly you are not, I am offensive to you in some way, and so I'm out. And I really came from the perspective that I was like protecting them in the long run. Like I am taking ownership of who I really am, and I don't fit here, and I'm not going to try to change them. So I'm just going to take the high road or whatever it is and leave, which I've realized, of course, is actually a rather cowardly way of dealing with that situation. And I'm not naming, putting a label on other people as cowards, but for me, it was absolutely that. I could have stood in that space and said, all right, we are completely different here, but I want to maintain this relationship, whether it be professional or romantic or platonic or whatever. How do we do that in a way that honors who you really are and what you really need, and who I really am and what I really need? And I think too, it was I had been shamed, as I think most of us have in some way for a long time, about being able to even say what I wanted or needed.
Right.
And I think that's a big element too.
That's a huge element. And I think that there's also like some kind of like story of where you belong, there will be no friction. There will be no struggle to have intimacy when you're like with your people.
Yes.
And I don't know. I haven't, even with the people I get along with the best in the world, like we definitely still have our, my friend Alejandra that I was talking about, like probably one of the easiest relationships that I have. And there is still conflict, and we've had times where we like can't talk to each other for a while because it's like, something got damaged. And then the thing that's so beautiful at this point is now if something happens that causes damage, we both are able, like there's enough trust and enough relationship there that it's able to like be backburnered for the sake of the moment or the mission or whatever. Like it's like actually, like, she was in town and she was moving, and we're like moving all of her stuff, and a thing kind of came up with a mutual friend of ours, and we're kind of like dog-eared the fact, like, hey, we need to come back to this.
Yeah.
But the love isn't going to stop in the meantime. I'm not putting walls up towards you, but we do need to circle back to talk about what happened here. But in the meantime, like, we're moving, and like, we, the love doesn't end, the love doesn't even pause.
Yes.
And I think that is a thing that ends up being really difficult for a lot of people. It's like, when there's conflict, it's like the exchange of love and mutual respect that we are feeling in a somatic way, like through like energetics, like we can feel when we are in love with someone.
Yes.
And like, where that is like flowing between us. And there's like, if there's conflict, it's like, well, hold on, I'm like stopping this exchange of love betwixt us until this is solved. And it's like, well, that's actually a choice to like to damn that love.
Yes, absolutely.
And when you do that, you actually make it so much harder to resolve the conflict, because now it's like you're holding your love for them captive and like hostage until you like make it right. And which creates like mistrust of the relationship and a scarcity of the love and all this like fuckery within it. That's like, whoa, like, I'm just so grateful that I have at least one example in my life where it's like, man, the love never stops, the flow, the support, the adoration, always there. And we'll, all in due time. There's been things that we pocketed for like a year and a half. And then we were like finally in Mexico chilling together, and we're like, yo, should we like talk about that thing that happened back with and it was like, yeah. And we talked through it, and even in that, like, it was so easy to talk through it, because at that point there's no like inflammation around it, because
it's gonna use that word.
Yeah, because there's been such time.
Yeah, it's more rational analysis of the situation.
Totally. It's quite helpful, quite amazing. Wish it for everyone. Wish it for more of my relationships. Looking forward to the first for whenever a romantic partner can come into my life, and we can hold that kind of space for each other. Wow, when we that all right, y'all let me know.
Yes. Accepting applications.
Accepting applications. All right. Yes. WrenMorrow.com. There's a lot of pictures of me naked. That's my resume. Oh my God. Wow. All right. Any hoodles.
Well, and I kind of want to connect those two, as weird as that might be, but because you're talking about this whole idea of maintaining that love, which provides the security to continue to have that relationship that you have with yourself in it. Because the other thing that withholding that love does is it, first of all, weaponizes love, but also it leaves the other person out there alienated, probably doubting and overanalyzing whether or not they're worthy then of the love, what they did wrong, what they need to do, how they need to come and beg for it, whatever the situation is, rather than that embodiment that we're talking about of the sensuality and the love of self that's available when you just know that you're loved by whomever. First, of course, by yourself, but then, to have that reflected back, validated, and supported by another person creates a space for you to be more accessible, to get through conflict together, and to be more authentically yourself, so that you can also interchange that energy with them from a more authentic place. You can walk out into the woods and embody your sexuality and be that gorgeous wild creature without that like lingering side of the mind thing, like, well, but there's this long list of people that don't think I'm worthy of their love because they withheld it as soon as there was conflict of any kind. You know what I mean? That's just naturally going to like dim the light. And of course you can fight against that, but that takes a lot of effort. We would all get a lot further, a lot faster, a lot easier if we could celebrate that, ability to maintain the love and address the conflict separately and later.
1,000,000%. Yeah, I think that like there is something to like being loved by other people, you know, like I know that we're really in the self-love space, and if there isn't the self-love aspect as well, it doesn't work. However, like I mean, this is not an official definition, but my understanding of the feeling of being crazy is when you are sure of a thing and there's nothing else in your environment that agrees with you.
Yes.
That's what I think is crazy making stuff, is like, and that's honestly, that's always been like my biggest fear ever since I like watched The Changeling or whatever with Angelina Jolie and like whatever. But I think that like if you have self-love and you know that you are, I think honestly most of us do know it, like deep down in there somewhere we know we are love, we are worthy of love, we are accessing love, we have access to it, that we could never be separated from it. Like that is something, it is like, it's a truth, so it like resonates at something like deep within our core. But if we look to all of the relationships around us and all of the, you know, the romance that we've pursued, the friendships that we've lost, the tarnished relationship with our family, and we start to see all of these things where we're like, you know, am I lovable? Like I know that I love me, but like nobody else loves me. And then it's like starts to feel like this like you know, like distortion of reality almost.
Fully. Yes.
And so like, yes, you need the self-love to like probably even like manifest relationships that are reflecting that back to you. But if you start to end up in an environment where like it's not happening, like I don't know, I feel like it when you were saying like it makes it so much easier to like trust that you are loved when you've got it being reflected back to you. And it's like, oh, you know, like my projection of the world can like falter, but then if you're surrounded by other people who hold the vision for you, when you forget it, then you can like, whoa, okay, hold on, I'm back on track.
Yes. I agree. So one of the examples that I use, several psychologists that I follow have talked about the fact that of course it's possible to love someone even when you don't love yourself. However, one of the examples that I've talked about is something that has come up with a couple of clients, and that is a situation in which one of the partners, perhaps deep down, dear God, I hope, believes they're lovable. The other partner is actively trying to, or doesn't believe that they're lovable, like does not love themselves. They just don't see value in themselves, or they just don't love themselves. The other partner is actively trying to love on that person, you know, show them acts of love, send little levers, whatever the things are. But because this person can't believe it, it's like there's a wall there that just deflects all of that. And so the receiver is not actually taking in any of that love because they don't believe it's real. It feels fake to them, you know, they don't believe in love for themselves. So they don't believe it's going to come from the outside. And so I think that's why learning and taking on that practice of self-love, which is, you know, supported by embodying sensuality, embodying beauty, and all of the things that we've been talking about, is so essential, because I think it helps you to be able to receive it. You know, it helps you to be able to, rather than a version of me when I was a young kid and could not love myself at all, actively hated myself really in almost every way for so long. If someone had said to me, "You're beautiful," I would never have believed that. That would not have landed as a compliment in any way. And I verbalized that by being like, "Oh, it's just, you know, I washed my hair today, or I put on extra makeup," or whatever thing I wrote it off to. Now, if someone gives me that kind of support or kindness or, you know, verbal expression of love, I can feel in my body the energy of being like, "Thank you. Yeah, I'm feeling it today." And that is a completely different and wildly more empowering place to come from as I go out into the rest of my life. So I think that's a, you know, a essential element in the way that it spreads out, you know, in the way that it scales into community. we can try harder to do it, to and with and for each other. Share that same, like, I loved the way that you talked about the people around you reinforcing or reminding. I can't remember the way that you phrased.
Holding the vision.
Yes, holding the vision for you when you forget, because we all do. We all have those really hard, low moments. And when the people around you are like, yeah, but wait, remember how awesome you are? It's a lot easier. Believed it at one point. It's a lot easier to be able to step back into that embodied,
Totally.
energetic embodied space.
Yeah, I mean, I see in my own life the way that I fluctuate. People are like, oh, you need to love yourself. And it's like, I really do some days. I really, really do sometimes.
Yep.
And there are other times where it's less so.
Yeah.
And there are some times where it's not at all.
Almost all self-doubt. Yep.
And so I think that, like, I don't know. I think consistency in general is a bit hard for me. And my whole life reflects it. Like, I'm like, well, how could I've been moving around? I'm here, I'm there. I don't know. Am I in my apartment? I'm like, well, it par for the course. Like, this actually seems like the correct response. But
yes,
like,
me too, 100%.
But it's been really interesting, like when you're saying the thing of like, oh, well, there are times when people can tell you that and it can't land. And I can like think very specifically, like even like very recently, like times people are saying encouraging things to me, saying, seeing me, holding the vision of me, and it just cannot get through.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say it's every day it's like that.
No,
there are some days when I'm like, oh my goodness, yes, absolutely, I am. And I think these past couple of days, as we mentioned, like before the call, have been like really disorienting for me. I've really ended up in like a strange, not strange, this is familiar, place of insecurity and like doubting myself and missing my friends in Mexico City, because we really did a beautiful job at like holding that space, like holding that vision. There were 3 girls, we lived together, and it was like you would watch us, and like one person was, what? And it's like, no, girl, get back up.
Yes.
And like to have 3 was really potent, because it was like, no, all 3 of us are not going down at the same time. Right. One of us might, 1 is for sure gonna go down,
Yeah.
2 at the same time can happen, but 3 at the same time, almost impossible.
Yes.
And so like, the one that's like teetering could go either way, as long as there's somebody who stays up, she stays up, pull the 3rd one up. Yes. And I just have been thinking that like today, like they're all very busy. It's the whole time, but I'm just like, oh my gosh, like, girls, can you please remind me? Like, am I an artist? Is this real? Am I gonna be okay? Like, I forgot who I am. Please, somebody.
Yes.
And I know that like there is the element of just being able, we need to be able to figure out like how to come in and alongside ourselves and like be that voice of reason to ourselves. But I don't know. Sometimes I have a little bit of like side eye towards this like hyper individualized, like we don't need nobody. Like you should be able to be your own source of whatever all the time. I don't know. I have never lasted a single day on this planet without needing the sun, without needing the mushrooms, without needing the trees, without needing the ocean, without needing water. Like I have never been a single day on this planet in like absolute debt and and need of relationship with thousands and trillions of beings. My whole body internal landscape is a combination of bacteria and microbiomes and like all this stuff, and it's like, I don't know, for it to be like, you need to be able to come along, like, cheer yourself up. I'm just like, I don't know.
I agree. I agree 100%. I think that, there's a value in being able to hold the belief, like we've talked about, but we are community creatures, and we are that biologically, because as you mentioned, we're dependent on every other organism in the planet, more or less in some way, doing their job, doing their part.
Mhm.
But also we are community creatures energetically, emotionally. There's a reason that babies died when they weren't picked up and held. Though, they had everything else they needed, and they died because they were left just in their little, yeah. I can't remember the name of the study, and it was done in Germany, I think, in like, I don't even know. I'm not even going to say a time range because I can't remember, a long time ago. Obviously, because
Wow.
it's horrifying. But yeah, there were studies done about, the importance of physical human touch. Like, we physically need each other to be able to survive. And I think that it's easy for us to not only forget that, but also to diminish the value of those connections. And like you said, the almost toxic independence. And I definitely went there for quite a while in my life as well, almost as a self-protective mechanism. But I think, drawing back to community all of the time is the way that we will be able to move forward, and even be able to, take a step further and celebrate each other in the differences, in the victories, in the, like, I could be envious of the fact that this other woman, is 17 years old and has 3 Pulitzer Prizes or something like that. Or I could just celebrate the shit out of that for her and acknowledge that that's not my role at this point in my life, or, whatever soothing self thing I need to say. But I think that works on the community level too. Like, the more that we can find common ground to come together rather than splinter off, particularly with stuff as beauty being so profoundly powerful on an individual level and so absolutely unnecessary on a societal scale. Like, I really feel like we need to be able to put that part behind us. Like, can we stop arguing about that and just let it be individual, but come together to support each other otherwise,
I mean, there is so much beauty that, like, when you look at nature and you just look at the way that like sunsets didn't have to do all that. You know what I mean? Like, sunsets did really not have to do all of that.
Yes.
And they do every single day, sunrises and sunsets, bearing like good weather and good views. Like, every single day is just showing off just this elaborate, outrageous, entirely unique, one of a kind, limited time only, 24 minutes of the most outrageous colors, the most particular pattern, never to be seen again.
Yes.
Never to be seen again. Beauty, literally the most outrageous beauty you could ever experience. I think I can't think of anything more beautiful than sunrises and sunsets, honestly.
Yeah.
The color is so, you can't paint that. You can't, like, you try to take a picture of it, it falls so flat.
Yes.
Compared to like what it does, what it is, and it's ephemeral, it's gone.
Yes.
And yet gets to come back and do it all again the next day.
Yes.
And it's like, that's just one aspect. Okay, cool. Well, then look at the design of like some of the shapes of some of these like foods or trees or like flowers. Like, there is so much. I mean, if a flower just had to like have a color so that a bee could find it, like, why are they not all just the same color? Why aren't they all just the same shape? I think there is something inherent in our design, in the biological consciousness that we are a part of with this planet, that loves beauty, that just loves things that are beautiful.
Yes.
And like, to argue on like if it's like superfluous or not, it's like, yes, it is superfluous. How wondrous.
Yes. And that's the magic of it.
Marvelous. it is an addition. It is unnecessary. It is not explicitly functional. It is a little flair for its own sake, for a little delight, for a little like, oh wow, how lovely. Oh my goodness, you didn't have to do all that. You know that you didn't have to. Just for fun, just because you want to. Like,
Yes. Because
that's amazing.
Yes, I agree completely. Which I love, actually. This is animating me so much because I've been doing a lot of studying about ancient goddess worship. And well, I won't get into all of it, but the point is, in ancient goddess worship, first of all, assuming that God, the energy, not the embodiment of some, human, but was feminine, the energy represented, of course, therefore, in the female body. Again, not drawing gender lines, just, the feminine energy representation. The chemical makeup of women depends on oxytocin. We have it in a wildly higher degree than men, apparently. And I am going to misquote all kinds of shit here because I'm just learning this. And so I'm, the information is not in cement yet. But it's something about the driving force of the way that hormone influences our driving force. And it is a pleasure hormone, meaning that we are recharged by and driven by pleasure, which is mirrored in the fact that we are the only creature, or we are the gender, with the only organ that is specifically for pleasure. The clitoris has literally no other function in the human body. Its entire existence is about bringing pleasure. And so our appreciation of beauty and celebration of pleasure, our ability to give that to each other and to ourselves, is the superpower of divine ancient goddess, and even, really quantum physics kinds of just energy studies. We need to lean into pleasure. We need to take that back as a power source for us, rather than something that should be, moderated or shamed or homogenized to, and the other problem that I was going to say to eliminate any attention from men. And the other problem that I have with that whole idea is that that's still giving them the power, like if we're all supposed to change the way that we do or don't wear makeup, particularly don't brush our hair or don't cut our fingernails. Like if we're supposed to do all of that because we're afraid that they'll be turned on by the fact that we have cut our hair or are wearing lipstick, like, isn't that still putting all of the power in their hands? That's antithesis to me, antithetical to the whole idea behind the movement.
Yeah, it's still hyper fixated on how the men are going to interpret it.
Yeah, that's exactly.
And I mean, as coming from like a super puritanical upbringing, I was told from a very young age, like it was my responsibility to make sure that my brothers did not stumble. and I spit like that exact phrase.
Oh my God.
Do not stumble. And then in addition, at 11 years old, this mom pulled me aside and she was like, you especially need to be conscientious of this because, it's every woman's responsibility, but she was like, but you are so beautiful that you could wear a burlap sack and it would still cause men to stumble. So you have to not just watch what you wear, but watch how you move through the world.
Oh my God.
And I'm 11. I'm 11. I had inflated nipples. Like when you're first starting to get boobs and it's just your nipples are like swollen, like it's not even a titty yet. It's just like
huge nipple.
Like, it just looks like a bee stung your nips. Like that's, she's like, even in a burlap sack, you'd be a temptress. And I'm just like, what? Like, it's crazy.
Oh my God. And at 11, to saddle you not only with the responsibility of the men in your life, but also all men that you will ever encounter anywhere. So how could you possibly accommodate for that? Because every single one of them is different.
Oh my god.
Burlap sack is going to be wildly appealing to a group of them for sure.
Oh my gosh. It's crazy talk. And like with the stuff that I just find it really interesting, like how much like they like put it's like all these like children, females' responsibility to not be a problem, like, and then you combine that with what's happening in our landscapes, what's been coming out and talked about a lot lately, and it's like, okay, maybe the men just want children, like maybe these fucked up men just want children.
Yes.
And like the witch in me is certainly, I remember I had this is gonna get us like wildly off topic, but
that's okay.
So me and my ex, this was like gotta be like 7 years ago. We did a little bit of psychedelics in the redwoods. And we pretty much would go and like backpack into these super remote spots and like post up for 3 days and do drugs and frolic naked. It was
lovely.
It was a dreamy time, I will say.
Sounds like it.
So anyway, he had gotten in this like pretty gnarly skateboarding accident and had just ripped off like a whole layer of his skin. But at this point, it was like mostly healed.
Okay.
And while I was on the psychedelics, I like started looking at his skin, and it was like iridescent rainbow, like the way that like magic is portrayed in movies.
Yes.
Sparkly like thing. I was like, what is going on your leg? And he was a biology major, so it was really fun doing drugs near him because I'm like looking at things in like my magic artsy way, and then he would be able to like ground me through like the actual biological process of whatever I was looking at. And this happened many times, but he starts like explaining stem cells to me. Wow. And the fact that they are this cell that is essentially just potential. And and then the body like summons it to be used, and then it is able to turn into a skin cell or a blood cell or but a stem cell is just potential. And when you're like rebuilding skin, it's like summoning a lot of stem cells to the occasion.
Yeah.
And then I was like through that was like, hold on. So like babies, he's like, yeah, babies are like only stem cells.
Yeah.
They're still throbbing with potentiality rather than certainty.
Defined.
It hasn't been determined what they are, what they aren't. And I was like looking at this being like, stem cells are magic. Like when we're like thinking about magic. And so then so all this stuff with like the Epstein files coming out and like hearing like all these like horrific things that are like happening to children. And I'm like, well, yeah, like it's because there's still potential. There's still more potential than certainty. Yeah. And that's like what magic is. And like the wow, I'm really posturing myself interestingly on this podcast. But I just think that
authenticity, baby.
Like the witch in me is just very like like what is going on with this potentiality? How is it being used? How is it being harvested? How is it being like commodified and taken?
Yes. Yes.
And so I've had like a lot of like wonder what like just questions. I don't have answers, but just like questions of like what happens to these like very potent magical parts of our bodies, or where do these things end up? Where like bits of so anyway, but then so like I feel like there's like this really strange correlation between religion and like making it like the child's responsibility.
Yes.
But then like also like recognizing like, I mean, to me, it seems like it's more than just like a sexual derangement as much as it's just trying to take magic like from its like more pure, like the closer the source it is to the source. But that is all that's all just my personal conjecture.
Well, I'm gonna layer a little of mine on there because I think that does play into our conversation. And one of the reasons that my conjecture point whatever is about the idea of dominance and the idea of dominating, women, the magic of women, the ancient magic of old occultism, not even necessarily just goddess worship, but occultism that the church went through, that men went through, that men in power go through, and the idea that we, women, and perhaps children in this case, hold that or represent that in some way. And so we are dominable. And I wonder too if there's like a, that desire, like you said, is maybe not so much as a sexual kink or tick or something, but rather like a need to feel powerful. When the irony is that power, the ability to feel powerful is available just to anybody, just as it is pleasure is available to anybody. The thing is, power is not domination. Those are two separate things. And I think that confusion, instead of being able to stand in power in community, there's a need to be powerful over a community. And I think that that's where it drifts into this other like abuse, oppressive, manipulation, dominant, whatever, when power in itself is actually something that I want us all to take and hold for each other, with each other, like holding hands, kumbaya style around a little oven circle, manifesting way better things or something.
Totally. It just does make me think, like, do the men just not have power? Do they not have access to power?
I feel power. I think
know they feel powerless for sure. That's quite clear. But like,
it's there.
Women do seem like, this was an interesting conversation I was having the other day where we were talking about the kind of like blindness that I see that a lot of men seem to have around reciprocity. And their like willingness to take without seeming to have any sort of like inclination to reciprocate.
Yeah, fascinating.
And I was talking about it with I'm staying with a couple, Dennis and Judy, and Dennis was like, oh, like when I first was dating, they've been married and they have just a super sweet, loving relationship. He was like, yeah, I used to be like really unaware of so many things, and Judy's like helped me see so much. And I was just like asking him, I was like, does it feel like that you're like something inside of you is being brought back online, or does it feel like you're just learning how to navigate it? Like, I'm just genuinely curious.
The
sensitivity that women seem to innately have. Nobody taught me how to be so aware of so many of the things that I'm aware of, that I watch men be blatantly unaware of.
Yes, blind to.
And absolutely blind. And so I am curious, like, is it that they're severed from it?
Yeah.
Or is it just not actually accessible? And I'm not, and I don't have an answer to it. Like, I want to believe that everybody has the same sort of access.
Yeah.
But sometimes I'm like, are we just like, we are like biologically different?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, and so are we also like energetically different? And it's just like, you don't have, like, you can't make a baby, my guy.
Yes.
Like, you literally cannot.
Yes.
And so, like, the amount of sensitivity that a woman would need to be, like, I feel like my sensitivity is like in like an energetic sort of like to my environment, and like knowing, like, is this environment safe? is it healthy? Is it happy? Is you know, and some of it is trauma informed for sure, but it's like I feel like, you know, my ability to like see the vitality of a certain tree that's growing in the forest, like that is not like a trauma informed thing. Like I can see it. I can literally see like the fresh growth and like, you know, whatever.
Yes.
And I'm like, is that something that we can teach, or is that something that is just like a part of like my makeup that like add part of my parts or whatever?
Yeah, your constitution. I have to agree with you, and you make an important delineation that I sort of had glossed over, and that is that, you know, in the context of power is accessible to all of us individually, and it's going to be different for all of us individually. I will never be the same way that you will, and I will never be powerful in the same way that my partner is, and you know, whatever. I have different power, and I think that we can say that with some certainty because nature is that way. You know what I mean? Because there isn't anything, you know, there's anomalies all over the place, and individual things thrive in certain areas and not in others. And
right. Yeah.
You know, both parts, even if it's not gendered, we still, nature even still needs both parts to be able to create new life in any way. So there has to be some version of opposites, kind of, or balancing separate entities, separate seeds.
Totally. I mean, yeah, because like the woman is the portal, but like I hold the doorway, but you can't get through the doorway without a key. And
yes, exactly.
They have the key, you know,
yes,
and it's
exactly.
like so I recognize like these things like both like have there's no like hierarchy of value or whatever, because like a door without a key or a key without a door, they both become superfluous.
Exactly.
But yeah, it is like a thing that I am just so curious on like when men got so disenfranchised from their own power that they have resorted to the submission of and extraction and suppression of someone else's power to have a dominating false egoic sense of power rather than the activation of their true power.
Yes, I agree completely. That's my fascination point too. Like I've heard it described as an energetic virus that entered. I've heard it described as some, you know, like separate planes of the universe, whatever, all kinds of wonderful, wild theories. But I have that same thing, like clearly at some point, you know, there was this, I love the way you said that, this sort of distancing or disenfranchisement from autonomy, you know, from knowing within and needing to extract it from and express it as outward validation, outward, you know.
I don't know, just be more curious about what your own innate power is, male or female. Like what is it that you do, that you offer, that is your essence? Like I think we're all connected to the embodiment of the divine. And so, you know, connection to that, but then the individual expression of that is like our little quest to go on. And the world would be a much more fascinating, enjoyable place, I think, when it's being sourced internally and expressed externally rather than like sourced externally.
Dominated, manipulated. No, I agree completely. And I think our great quest is to connect with our individual power and see how that helps the community, and that the community then, you know, lifts together because my power is enhanced by someone else who has complementary power, and, you know, that we need to try to build for sure. I love the shared vision. I appreciate being able to communicate with someone the way that we have been able to the depth that's gone.
It's been so delightful.
Yes. And seriously, I enjoyed this immensely. Thank you for your time and your magic. This was just beautiful.
Oh my goodness. It was, yeah, we were a runaway train, and I just was like, okay, I have something in 20 minutes. So I was like, I could
Yeah.
let this run for 10 more, and then we are gonna have to pull her into the station.
Yep,
But
I
oh my
feel the
goodness,
same way. Yeah.
I really, we had our little like prep call, and I don't remember us putting shaving, having a partner shave your bush, or what is the occult doing with the children
Uh-huh.
on our agenda, but I love
No, it
that
wasn't.
we went there.
I do too. I do too. I love that we embraced the adventure and just rode the wave. For sure. This is the
Okay.
authentic freedom of life living that I want to get behind always, everywhere,
I'm
with
saying.
everyone.
I'm saying it's so wild and wondrous, unexpected turns, and yet I feel like we both stayed locked in and engaged the whole time.
Yes.
So that's
Yes.
what more could you ask for?
Winning all across the board. 100%.
Oh my goodness! Thank you so much for
Thank you.
this chat, and I'm so grateful that you're in my orbit now, and I feel like there is more to come, and
I do too.
excited for when and where and how that manifests.
Yes, me as well. We will definitely be in touch.
Yes, 1,000,000%. All right.
So good to see you. Ciao.
Ciao.
Thanks for listening to Sex, Love, and the Self. If something in this episode stirred something in you, you can find more writing, podcast episodes, and coaching at authorjaclynlanae.com or on the Sex, Love, and the Self Substack. And if you're in a moment in your life where love, sex, or life itself is asking you to grow, and you're feeling a little unmoored, you're not alone. That's the work we do here. Please feel free to reach out. My email is authorjaclynlanae@gmail.com. Thanks for listening.